Hi, it's Janice Tuck here from the Fun Music Company, and thank you for joining me today for this special presentation on ways to engage and motivate upper primary or elementary students in music lessons. Now, through talking with lots of music teachers, I know that upper primary or elementary age is one of the most challenging groups that teachers have to work with on a regular basis. In most situations, these are students who are not really old enough to be in full band programs or learning instruments, yet they're too old for many of the general music activities that they did in the early years. Now, we're talking about kids around about the age of 10 to 12 years old, and they're usually given 1 or 2 general music classes every week in their school. It's a real challenge, as these kids can feel way too cool to sing songs and play tunes on xylophones or recorders, yet developmentally, they're not really ready for a full band program or instruments like guitars and drums. So my question today is, what do you do with this age group? Now, we've spent a good part of the last year talking with teachers, evaluating what is happening and developing resources, and we've come up with 10 distinct activities that work for this age group and fit into your curriculum requirements. So let's go ahead, talk through what these activities are, and at the end of all this, I'll have a special offer for you on our whiteboard music program, which includes all of these things. Firstly, you need engagement activities. Now, what do I mean by engagement activities? Well, you need something to break the ice when you start a class in some kind of a non-threatening way. Something like pop music trivia quizzes, where they have to work out what musician belongs with what band, or something like a game where they have to work out what sound belongs with what instrument. We do this on the interactive whiteboard, but you don't really need to have an interactive whiteboard to do it. You just need to be creative about how you do it. The key to this is to keep variety there. If you've always got something new to interest them at the start of every lesson, then you'll have them there on time, ready to go every week. Most kids, particularly the boys at this age, really shy away from singing. Now, if you think about it, it's easy to understand why. Boys' voices change at this age and they feel very self-conscious about it. So one of the ideas we've been developing this past year is our beatboxing program. Beatboxing is the art of using the voice to imitate drum and percussion sounds. So there's a couple of real benefits to this. First, they can use their voices in non-threatening ways. And then secondly, they can learn rhythm notation without the need for hand and feet coordination.
Beatbox, do the beatbox. Beatbox, bass drum. Beatbox, do the beatbox.
In the last few years, there's been an explosion of interest in this humble instrument, the ukulele. It used to be that a ukulele was an obscure variation of the guitar, might be seen in some old Hawaiian movies, but not anymore. The fact that you can get a reasonable quality instrument for around about $20 to $30 in any music store, and the fact that anyone can learn to strum a few chords in just a few minutes, means that it's an excellent tool for music education. In our upper primary module, we've kept the scope of our ukulele component deliberately small. We've not gone beyond just 3 chords, and we've built that up over the weeks of the course. A teacher shouldn't feel worried or threatened if they've never picked up a ukulele themselves. It's relatively simple to master those 3 chords, and pretty soon you'll be playing along with the class. In our program, each lesson has a ukulele jam track for them to practice their skills. They start out with just 1 chord and build up to quite fast changes by the end. We've come up with a new concept for getting kids at the upper primary level more engaged with playing untuned percussion instruments, and we've called it bucket beats. Now, this is because students at upper primary or elementary have probably hit tambourines and claves in music class since they were in grade 1, and they're probably most likely pretty over it, might take the chance just to misbehave. Is that right? Well, for this reason, we've had to treat them with more respect and give them something to challenge them, yet at the same time keep it easy enough so that they can achieve it right away. So the concept we've come up with is to challenge them is to get multiple sounds from one instrument. From the very first lesson, the students have to think about different ways of playing the instrument to get different sounds. For example, if you use junk percussion and have some sturdy plastic buckets available, then you can get two different sounds from hitting the end or hitting the side. Now if you're using a boom whacker, you could hit it on the floor and you could hit it into your other hand. Even if you have no instruments at all, then you can still do the activities like this with body percussion. If you're thinking creatively, you can have them pat their legs, clap their hands and click their fingers. Here's an example score from our whiteboard program and you can see how it works. One thing we all know is that all students should not only be involved in making music, but they should also be creating their own music through composition. As a teacher, there's nothing more pleasing than hearing a student come up with something that's theirs for the very first time. This doesn't need to be a big drain, if you think about it logically. The best sort of activities for composition at this age group I've found start with ordering and mixing up pre-made segments of music. Now you can do this in a number of ways. It's easy to make up flashcards with music notation on them, or just have them learn little riffs on the instruments and decide the order to play them in. The interactive whiteboard makes this super easy, and we've shared numerous of these activities with our mailing list before. Training the musical ear is very important too. We need to get our students to be able to distinguish between high and low pitches, loud and soft sounds, and short and long durations. The number and quality of distinctions about music that students can make is critical to their overall musicianship and their ability to recognise and enjoy music as adults. It doesn't matter whether or not they go on to become musicians or play an instrument. Oral training doesn't have to be a complex thing either. There should be quick 5-minute activities done regularly with loads of variety. This is a bit different from what you might be expecting here. We started out trying to come up with a range of activities for tuned instruments, like we've done with our previous modules for earlier grades. In the earlier grades, some schools have xylophones, some have recorders, and some have small electronic keyboards. So we could come up with some tunes that worked on all of those instruments. Inevitably though, what ends up happening when you work on just one diatonic scale or just the white notes, you end up with fairly simple, uncomplicated music that just doesn't sound very cool to an 11-year-old. It works great for a 7-year-old, they love it, but an 11-year-old needs something a little bit more interesting to hold their attention. Students at this age just need to play real chromatic instruments, they need to do it to sound cool right away. For this reason, we chose to go with music that will only work on keyboards with black and white keys. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a keyboard lab in your school, then this activity is ideal for your facilities with the upper primary or elementary classes. Many schools have a couple of smaller keyboards and these activities don't need a huge range. So you can have 3 or 4 students to one instrument and you won't necessarily need one per student. Another way to do it is using the iPads. There are loads of free or low-cost piano apps available for iPad. And if the students have those, then that will fulfill this need nicely. We know that a lot of schools couldn't even dream of having a full set of keyboards, so this activity won't be suited to everybody. But for those who do, let's have a quick look at how these little tunes work. The pieces are all structured in exactly the same way. The first section has 2-bar riff that is repeated 4 times. The second section has 8 bars of improvisation using just a few notes. The intention of this is that it should make it possible for the whole class to participate. One of the issues at this age level is that students will be enormously mixed in their ability levels. There'll be one or two who learn music, probably even doing grade levels on piano, and then there'll be those who have never even been near an instrument in their lives before. This activity gives something for every ability level, and they'll all enjoy playing as a group. In our programs we have listening time, which is called SQUILT. Now SQUILT stands for Super Quiet, Uninterrupted Listening Time, and it's an activity where students are asked to sit quietly and listen analytically to a range of music. Now while they're listening or afterwards, they should fill in their SQUILT listening journal, which just has a few questions about the music that they've heard. There are no right or wrong answers, and some of the questions are quite subjective. So then you can go ahead, discuss it with the students, and the students can give a mark out of 10, expressing how much they like or dislike the music. But most importantly, the students must provide a reason why they like it or don't like it. It's important to give a range of music and musical styles in this activity. So in this program we've chosen everything from a classical symphony to a punk style piece and even an operatic song. So directed listening is very important, and students need to be encouraged to think about what they are hearing and be able to describe it. It's important that students can notate and record music on paper as well as with electronic devices. Developing essential music language so that they can participate in intelligent discussion as they get older is really important as well. It's not necessary to go into great depth of music theory at this age. However, exposing them to terms like time signatures, key signatures, pitch and rhythm will be enormously helpful in their later life, and especially if they decide to pick up an instrument. Even if they don't, you're still enriching them with a gift of music that can't be replaced. Probably the most important of all these activities, at least from an engagement point of view, is to have lots of games ready at a moment's notice. When we structure our whiteboard lessons, we always have a game at the end of the lesson, and it's the one thing on the board that has a quick link so you can get instant access to it at the end of any lesson. Playing games is just great fun, but I want to make the point here that it is different to a computer game. A computer game is a one-person experience where one person interacts with a screen and tries to complete a task no matter what the task might be. Playing one of these games on an interactive whiteboard will work, but effectively you'll have one student play and all the others will just be watching. What we're about with our interactive whiteboard games is providing a framework where the students interact with each other and with the teacher. And the whiteboard is simply a tool which brings the materials together in a really easy manner. So let me show you some examples. Here, in this hangman game, students take turns to guess letters of common and not so common musical instruments. In this rhythm values game, they'll take turns coming around to the board, rolling this dice and recording the number of beats that corresponds with the value of the notes shown. And in games like this speed name, a member from each of the team comes to the board and has to be the first in their buzzer when the card is turned, so they get a point for their team. In all of these examples, it's not just playing one player versus the computer, it's the whole class engaged in the whole learning process. So I've given you 10 ideas for engaging upper primary or elementary students in this video. Now below this video I've provided a PDF report for you which outlines these 10 in detail and also provides some links to some free resources which use these ideas. However, I really want you to experience more. The best way I can help you for this age group is for you to have a copy of our latest whiteboard music lessons module called Play Up. It's available right now, including free shipping to your school on CD-ROM and an instant download so you can get started with it straight away. Single one-off activities just don't do the job. You can't experience all the variety the program like this offers without trying the full program. So for this reason, I have a very special offer. If you buy it today, you can try it out obligation-free for a whole month. If you don't like it, simply send it back and we'll refund you your money. We'll even give you another product free from our catalogue just for wasting your time. So what have you got to lose? Well, I really want to help you make your music lessons more fun and engaging, and there's no easier way to do it than with our whiteboard music lessons program for this age group called Play Up.